Hello there, welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We are actually going to finish this today. We are on round 18 out of 23, meaning we don't have too many races remaining here. We have 6 of them: Lusail, Austin, Mexico, Sao Paulo, Las Vegas, and Yas. And we will be finishing this series today. That's going to be our goal. And for once, we're actually going to get it done. So currently, Sano has a pretty sizable lead over Contreras of almost 60 points. Well, more than 60 points, 61 to be fair. But as such, she is in the driver's seat for the world title. And this time around, we do have a fairly healthy lead on Red Bull too. So there's no real risk here of them overtaking us by the end of this season. We are going to get both titles. The question is just going to be, is Sano going to be our winner, or is Contreras going to defend her title? Currently, we do have a little bit of a problem here with powertrain of Contreras' car, so we'll have to deal with that. But genuinely, I think we are fine here, and we are just going to speed along until we get to the Qatar Grand Prix in just 11 days. And as we are finishing this, we are just going to make it a little bit easier on ourselves and not do any design or research. It's just going to make life that little bit easier. As mentioned, we are going to be finishing off this series and potentially starting something new, but I'll be closing out probably a little bit. It's probably going to take a little bit of time before we get there. But yeah, World Tennis at Grand Prix, I deny these categorically if I already have good board support, because there's no real benefit to going above and beyond. And if you have a double DNFs, the board's going to be extra disappointing you. So again, no real need to put yourself in such a situation. But yeah, we're going to get Qatar prepped here. We're going to jump into the sprint and we'll see how we do. But before that, we're actually going to have a monthly tick over here. Let's just have a look at developments before we do jump into the next race. So, point of cornering, control, and defending for Contreras. And for Sano, accuracy and 3 points of smoothness. That's going to be actually quite huge. And we have kind of seen it here over the course of the season that the smoothness stat here kind of outweighs any advantage Contreras has in the other stats, unfortunately. Of course, Contreras is lacking braking, which is very impactful, but she does have a pretty sizable advantage in virtually every other stat. So the smoothness here really has been helping Sano quite a bit, I dare say. But yeah, we're going to just jump into Qatar here immediately, and hopefully we'll have a good race weekend. Let's see how it goes. Before we get started with qualifying here at Qatar, we're going to have to ask ourselves a very simple question. Do we take the penalty for Contreras here? And do we think that we're going to be able to make a comeback after this track? Most likely, honestly. The AI is bad at handling degradation here, so making a comeback wouldn't be too terrible. And honestly, if we're going to get a new engine, we're going to have to most likely pick it up here rather than in Austin or Coda, if you will. So I think we are going to go ahead and do another engine, but as you can see, we are perilously close to the cost cap here. And while I do believe that we are going to need a new engine, we're probably also going to end up needing a new gearbox. We have 6 races remaining. There are 3 sprint races, including this one. We have Brazil, we have Coda, and we have Qatar itself. So I think what we're also going to do here is pick up a new gearbox. So we're going to pick up a new engine here. We're going to use the current gearbox during quali. Then before we go into sprint, we're going to equip a new gearbox. And we are going to do this to kind of bring them as close to as possible. Because let's face it, running these engines, Contreras already has a little bit of a pace disadvantage due to her smoothness. So if she runs worse engines to bear with, then she's going to have an even harder time making any sort of comeback in this battle with Sano. So that is why we have elected to buy that new engine. It's just how things are gonna unfortunately have to be. And I think we'll do 1 tick to the right there. I'm a little bit unsure if we should go right or left, hence just the 1 tick. And honestly, I'm fine with this. So let's get qualifying done and see where we end up stacking up on the grid. The sprint here has gone fairly well and pretty straightforward here. We have 20 seconds down to Boucher in third. Kind of tells you just how well, the difference between our cars. But you can also see again the difference here between Contreras, who's been running light and just barely kept up with the expected degradation, and Sano here, who has run light and kind of made, well, a little bit better use of the tires, let's just put it like that. If we kept her around attack, she'd probably gotten Contreras by the end of this. But since Contreras is taking a penalty, we are going to... Never mind. We have a puncture. That's a bit surprising. So yeah, even while running light the entire... I don't think we hit 20%. I have to look that back up, but yeah. I honestly got a little bit of a heart attack there because I thought we ran out of fuel, didn't we? But yeah, as I said, I slowed down Sano to try and give Contreras a little bit more to go on, but as you can see, she did actually pick up a puncture this time around, and even so, it was luckily on the line, so it was safe. But Leclerc, Lawson, they also did pick up punctures, and again, kind of what everyone does around this track in the sprint is just eating punctures for breakfast. But yeah, I did want to have Contreras finish first here for the penalty's sake. We're not going to be taking a gearbox penalty here just yet, I think. I think we're going to save that for later, maybe see if we can make our way till the end, as we are taking a 10-place grid drop to 12th. But yeah, that was a little bit surprising. The question now is going to be, do we pit early, or do we just try and get overtaking done in normal manner? We do have an incredibly quick car, so we could do something like this. But if we are going to do this, we're probably going to have to run pretty much like this in order to make sure that we don't burn the tires, and then we can attack towards the end. I think that's fine. We can also probably sneak in a soft here. For Sano, who's starting first, the easiest thing we can do is just start it on a soft tire, I think. As you can see that over the course of that sprint, we got basically a pit stop ahead of the rest. Start on a soft tire, allow her to run that. Do the medium tires for basically more safety. Just a very safe and boring strategy. But yeah, I think that is going to be the key here. And again, running light on high degradation tracks can be really, really beneficial. You lose out a little bit at the start, but you'll gain far more than that back towards the end of the stint when the AI also has to slow down and take a little bit more care of their tires. But yeah, I think we're going to do this. Let's see if we can get Contreras back up into the podium positions. That's what we're going to have to try. And as I said, we're not going to take the gearbox penalty here. I think what we're going to try and do is survive on this one gearbox, but I do feel like it's just a little bit too much to hope for. So we'll have to probably take that penalty at a later date. So we'll see. Hopefully we can avoid it. We'll try our best. Let's go to the Qatar Grand Prix and see if we can turn that 12th place into a podium. And with that car, we should be able to. So unsurprisingly, I see a lot of red, some yellow, and that is kind of what you would expect here. All tires for Verstappen. That is gonna sting for them, for sure. And for Contreras here, she already had a moment.
Now we can see what happened. Now this was
okay, so that's Contreras. There's Nick.
Now there's an inviting opportunity there. And the impact on the car.
Okay, so the Reese actually turns in and damages the car. Well, he damaged his car, but I think our car is fine. Looks like it. Tires are fine too, so nothing too bad except for the fact that we have lost the gap to the cars in front. He did eat a penalty as punishment for his sins, 10 seconds that is. So yeah, bit negative here that we already have very low confidence. We're gonna have to build that up quick before we have an incident. So let's see if we can turn this around. Contreras is currently up into 4th place, but there has been a cars pitting, getting out of the way in that manner. But I think this is actually when we do want to pit ourselves. So we're gonna go ahead here, get on the medium tire. We're still gonna run it light, don't get me wrong, but we have been able to avoid the worst case scenario here. We have regained confidence. And we're now going to be able to pit onto, well, fresher rubber. Unfortunately, though, we're still going to have to do a little bit of overtaking here as we do come out fairly far back in 12th place. But if we take a look at the cars ahead that need to pit, we have Cher, Show, Albon, Behrman, Leclerc, and Sargent. So there's still quite a number of cars ahead of us that is going to have to pit at one point. So it's looking fairly good here. And let's be honest, Prochere we're not going to be able to catch when he pits. but we should be able to catch the rest here, and we're going to be focusing now on just helping Contreras forwards with the help of mainly energy, and we do have a pretty significant tire and car advantage to Sargent, so we should have no problem just sailing further up the order here back into the podium places. We have a virtual safety car as De Vries has crashed at turn 2. And that's kind of scary because that's our car. And luckily for us, he did not take us out twice this time around. But yeah, Contreras just crossed the basically the pit line here. We do have a virtual safety car. Do we want to take advantage of it? And maybe, just maybe, go to a hard tie here and go till the end. Would that be realistic? It would. But are we going to be able to make something work with that? Is it going to be a lot slower? It's going to be about 3 seconds slower, but we do save a lot of time on the pit itself. The question is just going to be, can we actually keep the hard tire alive till the end for Contreras' sake? If we take a look at the reports here, we can take a look at time consideration. We save about 6 seconds by pitting it under safety car or virtual safety car, so I think we are going to try and switch over to the hard strategy here. It's either that or we stay out, we push these tires a little bit more because we can now. Honestly, I think it's actually better to stick with this one because we can run a little bit of attack towards the end of these things. We're probably going to save more than 6 seconds doing that, and it's going to allow us to get some overtaking opportunities here. So while we probably would have liked to take advantage of this virtual safety car, we just are not. If Norris, Pocher, Verstappen, or Gasly pits, that would actually be amazing for us, as that would clear the path, as Contreras has struggled even with the high competency to get overtakes done. But it's still an acceptable situation as of now. So what I am thinking we do here is we use what's little is left of these mediums to do a little bit of attacking, get past as many cars as we can. Behrman is really the only car behind us that could go to the end. Same with Bottas. So if we go a little bit aggressive now on what we have left of these tires, get a couple of overtakes done, create a little bit more of a gap to, as mentioned, Behrman, I think we'll be happy. Sano is doing well, 11 seconds ahead of Norris, has plenty of tire left, can run a little bit of attacking of her own. So I think unless she has an incident, she will be winning this race. And just as I mentioned winning, we have Contreras locking up and losing some of that confidence she had regained, which is a tad unfortunate.
The wheels just lock up there. By that point, it was just too late.
Also a little bit of time there. Let's see, about 3-4 seconds. But the main thing that we lost is actually the tires. So I think we're just going to push here, get these tires off as quickly as possible. And we are going to end up pitting into a little bit of traffic, unfortunately, as a result of that. But it is what it is. We'll just have to live with it. We've seen Pocher pit. We've also seen Verstappen pit. So we're pushing as much as we can at the moment in order to try and get into the pit lane quick as can be, and hopefully get out in a good position. As we see a yellow flag, I don't know exactly what happened there. Sano running wide, but yeah. We are going to be pitting just now. And Gasly actually pits with us, so if they have a pit stop issue, great. If not, we're going to come up behind. And we are going to come out behind Behrman, but we're going to come out ahead of Leclerc. So we're still not in a terrible position. 4 cars ahead of us has pitted. The rest will still need to pit, but the overtaking here is going to be a little bit of an issue. So we're going to have to try and make something happen there, because Contreras, as I said, has just been struggling a little bit with the overtaking aspect. Right now, we actually do have Piastri and Show holding up the cars ahead, so might still be that we have a good chance at this race. We'll see. Contreras has been flying up the grid order here, and with just 7 laps to go, we are now looking at the podium. As Sano says, fastest lap while running light on these softs. We're kind of recharging a little bit here in order to set fastest lap, but I've been a little bit focused here on Contreras, and we are going to recharge the battery just a little bit. I think we can still follow Pocher fairly close here, But if we are to be any sort of threat to Norris, we need to get by immediately and start hunting him down. So we need to get by on this lap, and we might turn up the tire usage a little bit to get that done. But degradation is so high here that doing that could also backfire tremendously. So let's see here what we can do. For now though, I think we should be able to just fly by with the help of DRS on the main straight. I would be kind of disappointed if we didn't. And there we go. We did indeed just fully fly by. And closing down 6.5 seconds in 5 laps time is going to be challenging. But I think this is one of those cases where we would be okay with turning up the tire usage just a little bit. And we will be trying to set Sano's fastest lap here on the next one. I think we run aggressive at the very least till the end. Maybe turn it up to full attack in a lap or so. Because again, you might think 25% is a lot. But on this track, it is virtually nothing. You're gonna go through that so quick that it's not even funny. But we are gaining on Norris. We gained about a 1.2 seconds last lap. Let's see what we gained this lap. Close to 2 seconds. So even while running just aggressive, we will get close enough to Norris to cause a little bit of damage. And as you can see here, 2 purple sectors for Sano. Fastest lap should be in the bag. And yeah, that is a fastest lap update. So that is fine. We'll turn it down now. No need to push. And for Contreras, with 3 laps to go here, we are 2 seconds behind Norris. Which means we should be able to catch him, although with just that little lappage left, going full attack should not be a huge concern, as next lap will be starting the final lap, so probably should have turned it up a lap earlier or so. Norris is pushing now too. But yeah, we really should have tried to get the attack done on the main straight on this lap, but we just don't have the... We just really just don't have the resources to do that, both time-wise, fuel-wise, and energy-wise. Just maybe we'll be able to do something here. Use what little energy you have left. You may go high on the overtake aggression. And Sano did win. Not really a huge surprise there. And while it has been a good recovery drive, it's a little bit disappointing that we are going to be unable to snatch second place. But we did get back on the podium, so it's not all bad. Half a second by Norris is kind of acceptable. Let's face it, if she didn't have that lockup, if she didn't have that incident with De Vries earlier, she would have beaten Norris no problem. So it's just a case of bad luck, which does seem to follow Contreras a lot. However, the Driver Championship does extend even further, which is going to make life even harder for her. But it is just how things be sometimes. Now with that said, next up we are going to speed straight into Coda. Let's see if we have any incidents there, or if we actually end up with a bit of a clean race weekend. Sprint has started off on a good note here with a bit of an incident. We've had a crash involving multiple cars, one of them being Sano. And you can see what happens here. Sano tries to go around the outside on the final lap to get Norris, and as a result gets just sent off the track. But it's going to get overtaken here, unfortunately, by the Ferrari of Russell. And unfortunately, I do not think that we're getting that position back. We might even lose another position here to Behrman. We'll have to see. But Contreras has had a good run here. Sano just straight up got stuck behind Norris for too long. But this is going to keep things a little bit more interesting. And depending on who is at fault here, no penalties given, we could have seen Sano maybe even further down the grid order. But starting in 4th here, it's still not great, let's just put it like that. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that we ended up parked at the side of the road for so long after that incident, and we did suffer just a slight amount of front wing damage, so nothing too serious here, but at the same time, a bit frustrating that we couldn't get the 1-2 due to a bit of a driver error there. yeah, that should make Sunday a little bit more interesting. So the main race at Coda here is going to offer us something a little bit interesting, as we are going to have rain, and we're going to have a lot of it. It's going to be rainy for basically the entire race here, with the exception of the first 10 laps. And I think by lap 11 we would be getting in for inters. That is kind of the impression that I'm getting from this. But this is one of those where the rain might be low enough that Sano is going to suffer due to a low adaptability. So just to be on the safe side here, I've elected that we start on a hard compound that we'll be able to run full attack on. For Contreras, it's going to just be aggressive. But you get the idea here. It's going to be the best that we can do. And also, because it's sprint weekend, I did mess up the setup here pretty badly. But Contreras does not seem to care, so we should be fine. Let's see if we can turn this race into something good, like a 1-2, or if we might have some more Destruction Derby on our hands. So remember I said the rain here could be at a level that is going to be detrimental to Sano. It is indeed that what is happening here, as it has been about between 0.70 to 0.8 here for the last 7 or so laps, and as a result, Sano has fallen down pretty drastically here, down to currently 6th place. So I think we are going to have to pit here, just get those inters on, because that is what I assume people are changing to. Poche has changed, he's the only one so far. So I think we are just going to have to gamble on inters, but for Contreras here, she has enough of a lead that we're just going to allow her to burn these hards as much as possible. She is also a good, has good adaptability, so it shouldn't be a problem to just let her pit a little bit later than the rest of the grid order here. And what I assume is going to happen here now is everyone's going to come out on inters, and there's currently 4 cars ahead of Sano that has inters on. But yeah, Sano is not going to have a good time here in this race, and overtaking now is going to be a bit of a pain as well. So yeah, we have a little bit of a challenge ahead of us. Let's see if we can make something out of this. And confidence has declined as a result. Not too surprising. And for Contreras, I think this is getting close to the point where we are going to want her to come in. Because Stroll is kind of holding up the rest here. But there's limits to how long you can make that happen. So we're going to get her in. And hopefully that is going to make things a little bit better here in the long term. So standard. We're going to turn down fuel when we can. And as you can see, Sano is still struggling to get overtakes done on Albon, who is currently on the same compound. But even then, it is a bit worrisome. We need this to go up to 1 millimeter so we have any sort of chance. But right now it's going down. Sano is going to lose pace as a result. This is going to be a really, really rough race for her. Let's see if we can actually get her on the podium. We're getting closer to the end of the race here, and we just haven't been able to make any headway for Sano. She's currently running 9th, fighting Albon for 8th. Contreras, on the other hand, has had a pretty smooth sailing out front. We haven't really had much to do there. There was one small incident here, which was a lockup, but didn't really cause any problems. And the rain has stopped, but with just 2 laps to go here, it's not really going to make much of a difference, as Sano finally gets the move done on Albon. I don't think we're catching Behrman here any way, shape or form. But yeah, the rain has just been kind of petering about 1 millimeter, dropping down to 0.8. And every time it's done that, we've dropped back with Sano, lost confidence. We have gotten that confidence back now, but it's a little bit too little, a little bit too late to start kind of clawing our way back up to the top. But on the other hand, this could make things a little bit more interesting again. And final lap here is actually going to be kind of in the dries. And that's going to be bad for Sano. You'll see immediately here that she is going to drop off quite tremendously. And might even get overtaken by both Gasly and Albon by the time this is over. Which would be kind of tragic. And right now my game is pausing everything. Yeah, Gasly gets the overtake done. And Albon might also get it done. It's just Sano's low adaptability that does it, but it's also very, very rare that we get as many slow races as we've had, I think, because we've had so many races with Sano on our team, but we've had the line be 0.8 and stay there for basically the entire race. I don't really see that, but as you can see, low adaptability does hurt quite a bit in these situations. And Sano is a prime example. She just can't get any pace out of the car when it's not the correct tire for the occasion, and in changing conditions, she's just incredibly slow as a result. Now, drivers themselves here, as I said, Contreras does pull a little bit closer to Sano, but with just 4 races remaining, it's going to be a tough fight for her. Let's just put it like that. But next step up here now, we are going to be heading directly into the next race, which will be Mexico. Let's see if that one as well has something to offer us, as Sano now hits the 70 barrier and Taylor goes up to 66. But yeah, let's jump into Mexico, see if it has something fun to offer. Before we do that, let's just check the car part inspections here. So we do have a little bit of a problem here with the rear wing needs to be replaced, and also the fact that we do have very little cost cap remaining. So actually, I need to manufacture 2 of these, but that's fine. We'll get the other one done later. Any car parts that we need to replace are going to be a pretty large expense. So there is some things that we still need to consider potentially being problems. Now, I do want to manufacture that other rear wing. And once we got that done, we're finally ready to go to Mexico and see what we can do there. And honestly, I'm expecting a 1-2, but we could very well have problems. Let's just put it like that. It's wouldn't be uncommon if we did end up in a bit of a troublesome position. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and go into the race weekend itself. No rain this time around. Hopefully, we don't have a carbon copy of last time we were here on this save, where Contreras kind of demolished her car, if I remember it correctly. But yeah, let's go into the race weekend, see what we can do. The Mexican GP here is nearing its end. We've had a bit of a couple of smaller incidents involving the Williams, but nothing that really affected us. And Sano has just snatched the fastest lap. She was a good 5 seconds behind Contreras. I don't think she would have really caught her. So we decided to just pit and go for the fastest lap attempt, get that out of the way. But even this basically keeps Sano still fairly safe, let's be perfectly honest. Gaining 6 points each race weekend, theoretically, is too little for Contreras to end up taking the title away from her. So 1-2 for us, which is what we'd like to see. Norris in 3rd, Verstappen down in 13th after he had an incident involving one of the Williams. So yeah, the Red Bulls are kind of out and about. They've had some terrible races lately, and that is kind of what you would expect here. So yeah, we won 1-2, which is what we like to see. The Drivers' Championship here, it's still, again, it's a little bit open, let's be honest. There's 42 points between them. But as I said, 6 points times 4, that's 24. Point extra from the sprint race, 25. She's gonna need a little bit of help at Contreras to beat Sano, which basically means rain in Brazil, if we get it, could make this very much an open contest for the last couple of races in Vegas and Abu Dhabi. So let's see exactly what the forecast has to offer as we go into Brazil in just 4 days. Lauren Drignet, we can sponsor her. I think we'll go ahead and do that. That's fine. I didn't even check the profile, but we'll sponsor it. 22 years old. And carbon inspection. We fail actually quite a bunch of parts here. That is ever so slightly worrisome. But yeah, we are going to go ahead and replace them and manufacture new ones. And as I said, we are going to have a little bit of a close brush here with the cost cap as we do, well, manufacture new parts. That's just going to be how things are. But even then, I think we will be fine by the end of this. It's just 3 races remaining. We still have 5 million in the bank. So I think we'll be good. But let's see now what we can expect going into Brazil. If it is going to be rainy, as I said, that does benefit Contreras far more than it benefits Sano. Let's see exactly what the Brazilian GP here has to offer. Partly cloudy is the race suggestion, if you will. And I'm just going to be a little bit lazy here with the performance targets, because we have 200 million. We have 200 million to spare, and as you can see, no rain is expected. So with that in mind, we'll have to see here if Contreras can put a little bit of pressure on Sano, because we do not expect rain in Vegas or in Abu Dhabi, I would think. But yeah, let's go to Brazil, see what we can do. The Brazilian GP, both the race and the sprint, has been pretty smooth sailing for us. Unfortunately for Contreras, just couldn't keep up with Sano here, and we ended up pitting in order to try and secure the fastest lap. Now, before we pitted Contreras, she was a good 5 seconds behind Sano. Just didn't have the tires really to do anything here. We had to do medium, hard, medium. We tried a little bit of a different strategy here for both of them, but just wasn't quick enough, couldn't get it done. So we did at least notch fastest lap as a result, but as you can see here, the last 3-4 laps here, we're basically gaining between 3 to 4 seconds each lap. So unfortunately, Contreras was just a little bit slower than Sano around here. As I said, 5 seconds was the gap when we pitted, but snatching fastest lap really was the only thing we could do there in order to try and keep it slightly competitive. But let's face it, it's not really. So yeah, we get a 1-2 in the race, we got a 1-2 in the sprint, and as you can see here, Sano scores 33 points this weekend, Contreras scores 27, and with that is now 48 points with 2 races remaining. So Sano could settle this in the next race, and honestly, the Constructors has already been settled. So I say we have completed all of our objectives already, but we'll of course do Vegas and see who ends up winning. And honestly, if Sano has a DNF, it could get kind of interesting going into Abu Dhabi. But yeah, for now we are going to be looking towards Vegas. Development update. A couple of points of smoothness there for Contreras is actually huge. Adaptability is still going up, and a point of control. And basically the same kind of growth here for Sano as well. 2 points of control, 2 points of smoothness, and 2 points of adaptability, which has kind of been a bit of a weakness this season. So not bad at all. Car part inspection, we have a few failed parts, and as I mentioned, financially that could be a little bit of a problem, but I do believe we are still... I do still believe we are pretty safe here. 3.3 million remaining of our cost cap, and yeah, we'll just make these parts to be on the safe side. But honestly, at this point, we are completely safe in terms of the pit crew. Sorry, not pit crew, cost cap. And I'm just going to be a little bit lazy here. We have kind of, we already have a very good pit crew, so we're going to just allow it to degrade a little bit and just go with nothing. Because as mentioned, we're going to be ending it here. And the pit crew is completely exhausted, so they do need a little bit of a break here, as you can see. But interestingly enough, even while they were exhausted, we had no pit crew errors. So yeah, the interesting part here is going into Las Vegas here. What we could do is basically just this. This is all we would have been able to do going into Vegas anyways, just because of the high level of exhaustion that the pit crew has from us switching parts every weekend. We're still doing that, so let's just put it like this. This game was not designed around switching parts each weekend. It punishes you incredibly for it. So running yellow parts, running orange parts is the only way really to improve your pick, as unfortunate as that is. Manufacturing is completed of the 2 front wings that we made, and I believe we'll have the other manufacturing projects finishing here. The underfloor, the side pods, and suspension all are completed. And with that, we can now head into the next race, which would be Las Vegas. And Vegas is going to be, as mentioned, the season decider, provided, of course, that Sano kind of finishes. As long as Sano scores more than 4 points, scores 5 points, you need to consider the fact that for Contreras to win at this point, she'd have to score, well, she'd have to win for 1. But if she also gets fastest lap in the last 2 races, she can score a total of 52 points. There is 48 points between them. No. Yes. 48. 16 plus 32. If my math isn't terribly wrong, that should be 48. So yeah. There's 48 points between them. Sano scores 5 points. She is the world champion. So yeah, let us jump into the race weekend here and see what we can do in Vegas. For Vegas, which might be our season decider, we are starting 1-2 with Contreras ahead of Sano. And as is the norm for the last couple of races of the season, the AI is, well, eating penalties. 11 out of 18 are taking a penalty here, which means that we're most likely going to have Show and Lando Norris behind us as the threats. But we'll have to see what we do here. The best strategy around this place is a one-stopper. The question is just, can we set up a good one-stopper for Contreras, who does eat her tires quite aggressively? And honestly, I think the only way we get a one-stopper out of Contreras here is just doing this. We run the tires light. That's going to allow us to, you know, do the one-stopper, because her degradation is basically a level below what is shown. So if we do light, her degradation will be equal to running standard. And this will allow us to be a little bit more aggressive towards the end of each stint, getting a little bit of that time loss back. And I think what we're going to do here is just actually put Sano on the same strategy. Let's be perfectly honest. If all you need to clinch the title is just score 5 points, you do a safe strategy. Let's be honest. So we'll just be a little bit lazy, put her on the same strategy, and even then, she should be fine. Our car is incredibly dominant compared to the rest of the grid. And I just want to showcase that again with the race start here. We'll take a look on just how easily we can hold off even while running light. So 1-2, we have shown the Williams, we have Norris in the Red Bull behind us. Neither should honestly be much of a threat. And Sano does lose a position down into third, but should be able to get that back against Show here, who actually did manage to snatch that. So getting a little bit interesting here potentially. But even then, the advantage that Sano has over Contreras is going to be evident towards the end of the stint, where just degradation is going to be the difference between the two. But yeah, even while running light, we're still sticking 1 and 3rd right here. We did lose a position to Show. But honestly, even if we, again, lose a couple of positions here, we'll be getting that back as soon as Show slows down. Because, well, he's going to have 1 point. He's running attack, we're not. So you can already see he's used basically twice as much tire as we have. And already after just a couple of laps, the difference in degradation between Contreras and Sano is close to 2 to 3% potentially is going to be here by lap 5. So as you can imagine, the degradation difference here is going to be hugely in favor of Sano, and already a lot of the other teams have completely destroyed their tires already, kind of, while we are still following Show fairly closely here. So we'll be getting him pretty soon, so I have no real concern here. But for now, the only thing that we're going to do is kind of sit back, relax, allow the race to kind of run its own course here, and as I said, unless Sano has an incident, this is most likely going to be the title decider. So let's see how it's gonna go, how it's gonna develop. Hopefully, we have maybe a safety car that is what Sano's doing to spice things up a little bit. We'll see what happens. The pit window has opened here, and with that, we have started attacking. But as you can see, the difference in time between Sano and Contreras at the end of her stint is close to 15%. That's actually pretty huge when you consider that the usable amount of tire that you have is probably closer to 70%. 15% out of 70 is actually a huge deal, and Contreras is pitting now as one of the earlier pitters with a 2.4 stop. Comes out ahead of Show, and honestly, it's a pretty decent window to come out in. We have 5 seconds up to the next car ahead. And Verstappen did pit with us, same with Stroll here. The question now is, do we immediately pit Sano? And again, if we want to play it safe, we probably should pit Sano immediately. But what we could do also is just have her stay out a little bit longer and kind of try and take advantage of that. Even though De Vries somehow managed to overtake Sano, that's an interesting one. We need to get past him immediately. And if we don't, we're going to end up losing time and potentially some track position, as that is what's happening to Contreras, because we kind of do need to take care of our tires. We lost 3 positions so far to Show, Verstappen, and Bottas. But as I mentioned, the AI pushes pretty aggressively at the start of stints. We don't really need to do that. So that is kind of why Contreras is losing out to begin with. But confidence is still very high. She'll be getting those places back, I'm sure. And if we want to, we'll just go a little bit aggressive here on the energy once we, once we've gotten things sorted. Sano now is going to come in for her pit stop. Let's see how that goes. Norris is basically with her as well. Let's see who finishes their stop first. Norris is already done with his. And we still come out ahead there with a 2.2 second stop. And Sano did actually save quite a bit of time by pushing a little bit longer than the rest here. So De Vries has probably done a little bit of slowing down on the rest as well. So staying out longer definitely benefited Sano at this point. Contreras is making her way forwards again. And I think I'll micromanage her a little bit so she doesn't end up too far behind Sano. So we can still keep things somewhat interesting. So we'll be using energy to try and move her forwards now. So currently we have gotten Contreras up to where Sano is. They're running side by side kind of. And currently De Vries is, surprisingly enough, still running in a podium slot. Show is given a lot of freedom up ahead to just do his own little thing, kind of run away. And he's actually done an incredibly good job here, considering that his tire is about equal to Contreras. And that could be a bit of a problem, because, well, we are kind of struggling to... we're starting to get away from De Vries, and he is holding us up. That's the best way I can describe the current situation. De Vries is actually being a very effective roadblock at the moment because he is holding us up, and because Vegas has these 3 DRS zones, it isn't easy to break the toe. And the Vries car, the Haas, does seem to have an incredible amount of top speed. So even when we do overtake, he just comes back immediately. What we need to do is just go full on recharge for Contreras, and then we are gonna go full deploy here now. Well, maybe not on this lap. Maybe we save it for next lap because the gap is not the best. Honestly, it is good enough. We should be able to fly by on the long straight here now with DRS, wing open. And De Vries is just a little bit in the way, so we couldn't get the move done. He defended well. But yeah, we're struggling as a result to just get past, and that is costing us tremendous amount of lap time. And also for Contreras, again, the problem here mainly is the tires. The tires are getting more use from running behind another car. They just get a little bit hotter than if you were running ahead, so you do lose a little bit more tire wear that way. And again, just can't get past the Haas. We might need to turn up the risk taking here a little bit potentially. But there we go, we're past, but it did cost us every single ounce of energy that we had. And that is going to make it a lot more challenging to create a gap, but more importantly, to maintain that gap, as the DRS zone here towards the finish line already has the Vries catching up quite a lot. But at least the gap to Show is going down, and as you can see, De Vries just immediately gets that overtake done. So we'll have to probably just recharge here, switch a little bit back and forth. But yeah, Show currently is in a very, very good position. And the problem for Contreras here is that she needs to win this race to have any chance of winning the title. So we have a little bit of work ahead of us. Let's see if we can catch up to Show. So we decided that Sano is going to be a little bit of a team player to keep things somewhat interesting, and we have been running full attack for the past couple of laps in order to, try and catch up to Show. And as you can see, it's been effective. We're just 4 seconds behind right now. Unfortunately, right now we did get overtaken by De Vries again. Just a top speed on the straight there, kind of betraying us. Contreras is back in the lead, and honestly, I kind of want to deploy here. And I do believe we will not be getting DRS. It will go to De Vries. but yeah, even that wasn't enough. We're gonna have to turn up our defensive driving. I think that's gonna have to be the key here. But yeah, the Razor is actually the best wingman show could ask for at the moment. He is attacking it. He's attacking a lot, let's just put it like that. But even while we ran an attack with Sano, she still has a lot more time than Contreras. So I think the key is just going to be get Sano back in the lead, have her act as a pulley. We only have 6 laps remaining. And I think at the next lap, we are going to turn Contreras up to attack as well. I think that's just how we are going to have to do this. And remember, for Contreras' sake, Sano needs to DNF. And even if Sano DNFs, Contreras needs to win to stand any chance here. So we'll have to try and have Sano push, kind of be the DRS pulley, and then have Contreras attack towards the end. I think that's going to be the play here. Let's see if we can pull it off.
See what happened. Now this
So
was at turn 13.
Nothing terrible, just Contreras doing a bit of a double overtake here. As mentioned, Sano just needs to score a few points. Contreras needs to win. So we're doing a little bit of wingman play here in order to try and make that happen. As we are getting close to the end here, we are running full attack now. And Show is within reach. Just a second ahead with 2 laps to go. And maybe, just maybe, we might have played our cars right here. I do want to not have Sano go for any, risky maneuvers if I can avoid it. But yeah, Contreras is pushing. And might actually end up making the move here on this lap. Which wouldn't be terrible. But at the same time, we don't have energy, we don't have fuel. So getting close on this lap, getting the overtake done on the next lap would be the best. But even that does seem a little bit precarious at this stage. Last lap is about to get underway here. Sano is running with them. Looks like we might get a move into the first corner. Was thinking about it. But yeah, I think what we're going to do here is just use the energy that we have. Unless Sano doesn't overtake here. Sorry, not Sano, Contreras. Use the energy that we have on the main straight. And we're going to have to do that anyways to defend now. So I think our play, in order to kind of keep things ahead, is to push here before we get to the long DRS straight and try and create a gap, because we are the faster car. And if we can break DRS, well, not really break DRS, but create enough of a gap that the DRS becomes kind of ineffective, that should secure it for Contreras. And that's basically what we did there. We created enough of a gap that it did not become effective. And because I was paying attention to Contreras more so than Sano, probably did not give her the fair chance to attack Show here as a result. But she has clinched the title with a 3rd place podium here. And Contreras did get her win and fastest lap. But no DNF from Sano means that both championships are now settled. Unless my math is wrong. But we'll have a look here. I believe we'll get a you're the winner end screen here.
And there, the Alpha Tauri driver with a momentous title win. They've clinched the Drivers' Championship.
So yeah, as mentioned, title win, championship has been secured.
What would they be making of that race, do you think?
I doubt they could be much happier. A win and a podium place. What a great way to round out the weekend.
It's just mentioned in passing and then completely forgotten.
Well, everyone, that's all from us here in Las Vegas.
Formula One
yeah,
almost reached its conclusion this year. Meet us next time.
Title win has been decided in favor of Sano over Contreras with this race. Unfortunate, but at least we did get a good race out of it and a little bit of competitiveness towards the end. But yeah, Sano has won. We have won Constructors. And with that, I think we are actually going to end this series right here before the final race of the season. Just because, well, mainly 2 reasons. There's no point in racing it because we've already settled the season. That's number 1. But I also have quite limited gaming time these next 2 weeks. So I basically want to jump onto another save immediately and start recording the next episode there. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this series. We finally have a double title win with the female drivers here in Contreras and Sano. Shame that Contreras couldn't defend her title. But as mentioned here, just the main reason why Sano won is the smoothness. The difference here is mainly smoothness and braking. And also, as you can see here, the braking has an effect on running wide or causing racing incidents. Even with higher control, I would argue that braking seems to be more important for incidents, but of course, I just have this season as a sample size. It's nothing huge. But yeah, braking does seem to be more important than control, just in when it comes to the big crashes. And smoothness is a huge deal when it comes to your race pace. So yeah, that is it. I hope you still enjoyed this series, even though we're ending it a little bit early. We have, as I mentioned, completed both championships. We got everything done. And so you guys won't have to wait a couple of weeks until the next video. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the next series. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for following this series. It's basically taken us almost a year since the last game released to kind of finish it up. No speedrun this year. As mentioned, this has basically been the long haul. But it has been fun. I do enjoy the concept of the speedrun, and then it turned into something else. But yeah, thank you very much again for following. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much to everyone who has cheered me on, giving me positive comments, giving me critique, giving me anything. And I do hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.